Hello and welcome to Big Wig. Big Wig is a series that examines the life of lawyers who are not into litigation. Lawyers that have made a name for themselves in a niche area of the law that they have excelled in.
The future will belong to those who specialize, those who then carve out niche areas for themselves. And as I tell you, as society evolves, new things happen. The lawyers who explore those new things are the ones who will inherit the profession, as they say.
Today, we are so excited to have Judge Etomi with us. Judge Etomi, as you know, has been described as a power lawyer, an aviation lawyer, a commercial lawyer. He's a teacher at heart, very enthusiastic about the law as a means of developing society. He's an inspiration to not only young lawyers, but even old lawyers as well. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers at home, everybody, let us welcome Mr. Judge Etomi. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Being made a life venture.
Thank you very much.
This is very significant for me because I remember when I think it was in 205, to sign my law school form.
Yeah.
I needed a life venture to do that. Yeah. So all we need to do now is find our way to Judge Etomi and Co.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What does this mean for you, sir? Did you see this coming?
I feel happy. Everybody feels happy when they are recognized. It is, you might put it in a sense, a recognition of the work I have done over the years. If you know the way privileges are distributed in the legal profession, it tends to be skewed in favor of those who do litigation. They're the more visible ones.
That's right.
And you wouldn't believe I'm the first life bencher from the commercial bar and all that. But when I got involved in the NBA activities generally, I realized that not much recognition was being given to lawyers outside the courtroom. And I thought the NBA was the worst for it because they were not showing their full face. They were not taking advantage of their potential. And I approached O.C. Okocha at the time to say, you know what, I wanted to be president. And I said, you know something, if you allow me, I will set up a section on business law. And I will tell you how that can enrich the NBA. Very forward thinking, had absolutely no issues with him. He let it happen. And between then and now, I think even the worst critics, even the most conservative of us have come to realize that the law is actually richer. The versatility, who says you're not a lawyer only because you don't adorn a wig or a gown or whatever?
You know, some people will say, I was born to do this. Did you always want to be a lawyer? And did your parents support you?
It's very interesting to ask this question because I have an identical twin brother who is a doctor and is a nephrologist. And we spent our early life together. We're in the same school, same dorm. We did the same subjects. Now, he was influenced very early by our older brother, who is a surgeon and who just had this dream that all the male members of the family must be surgeons. Yes. And all that. My eldest sister was married to late Abayomi Shobeson, one of those erudite lawyers. He became a senior advocate in his time at, I think, age 41, if I recall. And I just liked the way the guy carried himself, his diction, his mannerisms, and and then his sense of humor. So I just said, oh, this is where I'll be. I did everything in science, but chose law. And I still remember my brother in those days would come take my twin brother and I to go and do write exams into UI for medicine. So we're going to the exam hall and I'll sneak out. And I said, I'm not doing this medicine. I'll sneak out. And then when we finish, he comes back for us. And I would have borrowed somebody else's exam papers. Oh, how was it? And he was in UI himself, and he was lecturing. When the results came out, he said, but George, I didn't see your papers. Mike passed very well. He went on and on, but I had confided in my brother-in-law that I didn't do it. And at one stage, he called him and said, see, why leave him alone? Must everybody be a doctor and all that? So that gave me the release that I wanted. So I went ahead. And even though I went into my A-levels using science subjects, I chose to do law. And I have not looked back since.
When you started as a young lawyer, did you start with litigation or under?
Yes, I actually started with litigation when I joined Chris Ogunbanjo and Co. But it was a 90% commercial law practice. But the litigation was reserved for the work that we were doing. If litigation came out of the work we were doing, it was a lot easier to sort of just ease into it. Mm-hmm. So I did litigation. So I have a bit of a litigation background. But it was my experience as well that in litigation that told me I didn't have a long-term interest in it. For the simple reason that you can go to court and for 3 months you're trying to get dates. You can run into trouble without knowing the nuances of the profession, because there was a time I thought I was helping a senior lawyer who said our client's driver hit his car. He came to the office and I said, look, you know what? In the fine spirit of mediation, I said, you know what? We're not going to drag this on. We admit this. We're going to pay you so much and blah, blah, blah. And I thought we shook hands over it. He collected the money and then sued for whatever balance it was. And I just didn't understand. I was very enraged. So when we got to court, and he represented himself. So after he gave evidence, I demanded for him to go into the witness box. And the judge, everybody was, you don't do that, you don't do that. I said, well, he chose to represent himself because I need to cross-examine him. I don't think he's been honest about, you're accusing a senior lawyer of being dishonest. And I just thought I was just doing the normal thing somebody should do. So those sort of, when you get to know them, fine. But for people like me, I wasn't just cut out for those things. Mentorship is very important.
I was just going to say that you not only went through all of this to get to arrive at what you always desired, but you also got Chris Ogunbanjo to.
I was just going to say
to be your mentor.
So first of all, I started with my brother-in-law that I was talking about. Okay. He was nephew to the late sage Obafemi Awolowo. Oh. So I did my law school attachments and co, and I attended court with the chief, and I just loved the way, the law is beauty when it's being practiced. I finished from the London School of Economics, and I'm sure by now you would know I have a teaching streak in me. I wanted to go and teach because I loved all this sort of stuff. So I actually resumed at the University of Lagos. We never taught a class. My good friend Udo Udoma, the son to the great Justice Udoma, saw me and said, George, what are you doing here? I said, Udoma, what are you doing here? He said, he had taught there for about 3 months. That was his last day. And teaching wasn't quite what he wanted it to be. So why are you going to? He said, well, he's gotten a job at Chase and everything. So I said, Udoma, if you're not here, I'm not going to be here. So, but where do I go from? He said, this law practice, Chris Ogunbanjo and Co. He had interned there. They're very good. But, so he gave me the address and I went and put in an application. I got invited. I spoke to one of the senior lawyers there at the time, and eventually I spoke to Chief Ogunbanjo himself, who struck a chord from the very beginning. And a lot of the things I carry today in my practice were rooted in him. Yeah. And if you see my CV, it hardly goes beyond the first line for me to mention that I worked there. Because if you do not give credit to those who played a critical role in your formative years, you're not going to go too far in life. And talking about mentorship, one of the biggest things experiences I took away from him was in the very difficult, dying days of the Shagari administration. Remember, they were going to borrow money to build a National Assembly. And then they also wanted Central Bank of Nigeria to be the primary borrower. In the past, the CBN only plays the role of a currency undertaker. They just say federal government borrows and the currency undertaking comes from the CBN. But this time they wanted the CBN to borrow directly. And you know why? CBN is a custodian of all our money. So if they get directly involved in that kind of lending transaction, it means they can chase their money anywhere. In effect, the money of Nigeria. And they can just cripple you as a country. Our CBN Act even forbade them from doing that. Politicians, in their rush to get it, they said it had to be in there. And then, but abroad, when they give you loans and co, they insure them. The insurance companies always ask for independent legal opinion as to whether or not that risk was a good risk. So we got contacted one of those, and we prepared a legal opinion that said that the CBN was not competent to that primary
borrower of that fund.
Everybody was waiting in London to draw down, and nothing was happening. Somehow it filtered that it was being held up by a legal opinion. Chief had nothing to do with it. It was just the young ones in the office who were doing it. Then they called him. Oh, and of course, you are UPN. You are this. Everything in Nigeria.
Everything has political coloration.
I said, George, what's going on? So I told him. So he sat with me. We looked at it. His friends in office were pressurizing him for us to make the opinion more favorable. But what I respected him for till this day was that he looked at it. He saw the law supported the position that we took and basically just said, let's leave it the way it was. So we didn't change the opinion, and the loan was never taken. And when you look at what goes on today, you thank God that you have a mentor like that. Because one of the only thing we sell in this profession is integrity.
That's right.
Integrity.
Well, I mean, what is law without integrity?
Absolutely.
I'm interested in most of these groundbreaking decisions or things or deals that you've been involved in. Maybe you should just track for us.
Yes, okay.
As many as you can.
One thing I would say is this year I would be 44 years at the bar. This office has been standing for 37 years. It started in 1984. And we have been fortunate to have been involved in what I might call some of the groundbreaking transactions that have shaped the economy of this country. And I'll just give you a few of them. Let's start with the banking industry. Now, the decision to open up the sector came when it became very clear that banking transactions were not keeping pace with development globally. And we had the good fortune of having a leader. And it's important we take these stories together because things don't happen if you don't have the right leadership and if you don't have continuity in good leadership. Many people generally ascribe the explosion in the banking sector to Babangida, which is good. Give him the credit. But it actually started with Shagari. Because when they dusted up one of our ruling plans, they found out that there was a plan to indigenize the banking sector. And even as I recall, when they wanted to implement it, those who would have been beneficiaries, Nigerians, actually wrote against it because they were subordinates and had been told by their masters to just basically say they were not ripe enough for it. But then it's okay, you're not ripe, fine. So they took, if you remember, Etomi Banigo, took him from Chase Bank and took him to IMB. As Deputy Managing Director, 6 months later, confirmed him as MD. And IMB was almost the cradle for a host of Nigerian MDs.
Yes, because all the gym and
just that
and all
is,
of that, they all came from there.
I'm a student of history.
Okay, good.
And it's good for people to know, when, especially the younger generation, when they see what's going on, they have to have a historical context to it, because that's what saves any country. Where I'm headed to today is that the banking sector contributes huge figures to our GDP as a country. And not just that, it's turned out some of the finest professionals working the African continent. As you know, most African countries are supported by Nigerian banks. You go to Ghana, you go to Kenya, you go to all over the place. And you don't go into the banking hall and you're looking at expatriates. You're looking at
all our people.
Look at you. And some of our banks are more sophisticated than banks in the US or in the UK. Many of us with international transactions, we know that. Stop the average Nigerian banker. He has a lot more to tell you. Then let's move rapidly to telecoms. Again, you remember, if you had a handset in those days, it didn't mean you had a line. No, remember, it's just an intention to own
have one.
Exactly. And the best friends you could keep in those days were the area manager for Nitel.
Yes.
But fast forward, some leader who saw the future just said, look, you know what, open up this space. What's government doing here? Took government out of it. And happily, and I can tell you that's because we were the lawyers to MTS. You remember, not 9 knots?
Yes, I had one.
People forget that was the first real incursion of the private sector into the telecom space. Yes. But it was a joint venture between Digital Communications Limited in Atlanta and Nitel, 60-40. But because Nitel owned the backbone, the equipment was in the Nitel office. And guess what happened? The day some guy got upset with whoever they got upset with, they just told Nitel to shut them down. And that's how they shut them down. And don't forget also, Nitel also set up its own not 9 knot. And that effort died. But as a lawyer, it taught me a lot. And that's why you see that I'm one of the most passionate people for privatization. Government has no business in business. When eventually there was a change of regime and MTN started showing interest in Nigeria, I was called. We had gotten a message from MTN to say, could we act for them? And we said, gladly. But just shortly after we did that, I got a call, come to the villa. Then it was Micah Higby was number 2 man. Again, many people don't know that he studied law. So he told Abdul Salam, well, there's one lawyer I know who is in telecoms. Again, these were new areas. Look at what we're doing today. I believe so much in what the young people can do in this country. It was a new area. So I went. And okay, we know you're acting for an MTN, but you're Nigerian first. So just make sure this deal
That's true.
comes through. So I told MTN, fine, I'm acting for you, but the government would also like me to whatever. So without understanding, and well proportioned, it accelerated the pace of MTN coming into Nigeria. And they did get the license, but